be making a lighthouse today, based on Cape Formentor in Spanish territory. I think it's in Mallorca, but there we go. I'm just going to start rounding. Actually, I'm going to start setting in my lines just so I don't lose them. And this is Eastern White Pine. It's 1.5 by 1.5. Making some stop cuts. And this is 1 3/2. This is 1 3/8 OCC tool knife. This is actually from a 2x4. I just split it in half. Not as easy to cut as basswood is. It's a little tougher, especially being this is just a 2x4. Kind of small. I think I'm going to try a different knife. Bigger one out. That knife either. I'm just going to start rounding it off. these again just so I don't lose them. Boss decided she wanted in. Gotta be careful not to take too much off. Of course, I set all those lines and now I'm gonna have to reset them. Yeah, that's what happens. I did mark the top here with center marks. Just setting the base here a little bit. This will be cut off straight because I've got another board I've got to carve the front of the building in because this lighthouse sits on top of a building. Just trying to round it up a little bit. making some stop cuts now. I'm gonna make where the top of the lighthouse tower is. A little noisy in here. I got the air conditioner and the fan going. Okay, I think that is good enough for now. I want to take off a whole lot of material. I need to come up a little bit and do the same thing, only I'll make the stop cuts down, because this will delineate where the rails are for this level. Doesn't have to be perfect at this point. I had to round off the lighthouse though. It was a little too hard to get that top where the lens and the roof is if it wasn't rounded off. This is a chunk of a 2x4, just from a box store. It's not the easiest thing I've ever carved on, but it's not horrible. Sorry, I had to get a picture up of it just to make sure I was doing it correctly. First time I'm trying to do one that's actually what it is. Well, this is actually a lighthouse in Mallorca. Okay. Gotta get the dome on it. There's a little, I'm not going to say it's a cupola on top, but it's where the cross sits on it. So I'm going to fix that into it. Just gotta be careful. I'm just taking my time. Small cuts. You don't want to send the knife through it, and you don't want to chip it out so you hit your fingers. Starting to look a little better. Making the dome. It's just making the smaller facets. Yeah, it looks like for me it's going to be easier just to come down from the top. Might be easier to come up from the bottom, but it seems like I can see how it looks better this way. Just go easy. It's giving you a little trouble. Take smaller bites. Okay. That's starting to look much better. Got just a little line around where the lens meets the roof. I'm doing this in August, but I won't be able to put it on until December or January, because this is actually a Christmas gift for my nephew. He worked in Spain for 2 years. He was in Mallorca several times. He's now a Spanish teacher. Just thinning down the lens a little bit. I'll have to thin the railing down some. Make this a little thinner. A little bit more challenging whenever you're trying to actually make it look like what you're carving. Make the carving look like what you're trying to carve. Still thinning down the lens and the roof. Well, it's starting to look better. Take the hard edges off. Less chance of it splitting out. This is what I've got so far. I cut it down to more of the finished dimensions. Now I've got to make a building for it to sit on. I didn't cut it very square. There, that's better. It is, I guess, 3 7/8. So that's a third bigger. So if that's 2, I'll go 3.5 by 3.5. Let's find the center. This is 1.5 inches, so 3/4. 3/4. Cut the base out. There. Now I'll just take the edges off. So they take paint the same that the Lighthouse does. This is just a 1x4 that was cut down 3.5 by 3.5. Because this is what the roof looks like. giving it some texture too. I'll take the paint, at least. It makes it look a little more handmade. I did mark the center again. I don't like hard corners either, because that's where it'll break or split or splinter. So I take all the edges off. Okay. Same thing with this. Sorry, got out of the frame there. I'm just gonna paint the doors and the windows on it. There again, just putting some facets on it. I did sand it right there, so. But sand, you know, putting facets on adds interest. Makes it look a little older. Makes this wood look like it was hand carved all the way around. It is hand carved to a point, but I've got power tools that I use. I've got to buy a new bandsaw. Well, got not. This is just a 2x4 straight from my construction pile. A little harder than I like it, but it is what it is. So I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time on it. There again, just trying to add a few facets on it. I'm going to wood glue this, but I'm going to set it with CA glue and an accelerator. I'll have to paint it, but that's it. for watching.